Hey everyone, good to have you back. Um, Under the Sustainability 21 SGS podcast series that we have been diving deep into multiple topics, just to refresh the topics that we have been so far discussed. The first, just to give an overview and also to refresh ourselves, is that we have started with our first topic. Um, do we have a climate emergency? A question to be asked, and we elaborated in terms of its gravity. And the second episode, we spoke about the 21st century leadership, and also we spoke about 21st century board leadership and model. And then we also spoke about the emergencies. And the last week, we also spoke about the health and social emergencies. And the reason for these topics to be addressed at early stages of our podcast is to understand what are the things that we need to start with. One of the first topics which we elaborated, do we have the right mindset? With the right mindset, you cannot make significant changes in terms of actions. So it starts with a belief that if you don't have the right mindset, you cannot bring the motivations. And without motivations, you can't bring actions. Without actions, there is no results. So under the sustainability, we have been elaborating these important topics. Today, we are very much thrilled to discuss the economic emergencies. What is an economic emergency? How it's going to impact into people's countries, businesses, and individuals. So, Dr. Ravi, good to have you back once again. And I'm really looking forward to hear this subject, a deep dive with your experience, with your knowledge. And I'm thrilled to hear what you have to say about it. Over to you, Dr. Ravi.
Okay. Uh, as we get into the subject of economic emergency, I just want to refer to the three emergencies that are in the 21st century board leadership model. Like you mentioned, we started with the climate emergency, then we went into the health and social emergency, and today we are looking at the economic emergency. I think the first point I want to make is that economic emergencies don't happen on their own. Economic emergencies happen in a nation, in a business, even in a home, when we basically have either a climate emergency, which we ignore, or we have a health and social emergency, which we ignore, or both of these issues happen together, which result in an economic emergency. So the best way to explain this is when COVID-19 hit us, that was a health and social emergency. But uh, that then led to a economic emergency in the world. And the climate emergency, with its impact in terms of extreme weather incidents all over the world, is also contributing to an economic emergency as we move on. So the real question is, how do we preempt such emergencies? Because in the case of these emergencies, we can't prevent them, but we can only preempt them and manage them better. So when we talk of a sustainable business, the way we have to understand, the best way to understand what is a sustainable business is a business with a sustainable business model. And a sustainable business model has already been explained a little earlier, but let's refresh ourselves. A sustainable business model is a model where the business has a economic growth and development model which does not harm the environment or the planet and contributes to social growth of the society. So no business can say they have economic business, a sustainable business model if it doesn't meet those three criteria. It must contribute to the growth of the nation if it's in the case of a nation, or contribute to the economic growth of a business. And it must do so without harming the environment and contributing to social progress. So when we look at that, one of the key determinants of that is the leadership of that organization or the nation must have a simple belief that placing the priorities of the planet and the people, and I would also add to that the what science determines, should be placed before we make decisions simply based on profit. So, in other words, planet and people before profit. And that is the beginning of a sustainable business model. Today, we are going to talk about one of those companies which have done an extremely brilliant job and is the benchmark for sustainable business. And that is the case of Patagonia, which is one of the world's leading outdoor clothing and equipment companies in the world. And we will also talk about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we will talk about managing stakeholder and investor expectations. But before we do that, let's take a minute and understand the makeup of the global economy. The global economy, as at 2024, is about 105 trillion US dollars, where China and USA are the two key players, and they have between 26.9, and China has about $19.4 trillion in terms of their economies. Now, one of the factors we also need to bear in mind is that the global debt, while the economic, the GDP is 105 trillion, global debt is about 102 trillion. So it's almost the same size as the GDP of the world. And we are seeing that this is increasingly the situation, that there is a lot of debt that is also helping, that is being channeled into the economic growth of a country or a nation. So with having said that, let me get back to the sustainable business model. A sustainable business model must ensure that its product or service offerings, which are the contributor to its top line growth, are sustainable products and sustainable service offerings. And this is fundamental to the sustainable business model that we have. Its product and service offerings must be both sustainable. So what do I mean by that? Sustainable product offering means that the product is sourced sustainably, manufactured sustainably, and distributed and exported in a sustainable manner. If it's service offerings, those service offerings must be contributing to sustainability. The other issue to look at of a basic sustainable business model is that the product, if it is a packaged good, must be packaged also using sustainable material. And I already mentioned it must be sourced sustainably and manufactured sustainably, and it must contribute to the circular economy of the world. So these are key criteria that we must bear in mind when we talk about sustainable business model. And of course, if we don't have those criteria met, then we can't refer to that business as a sustainable business. The company that I'm going to feature today as a good example of a sustainable business model, as I mentioned earlier, is Patagonia. Now, what is sustainable about Patagonia is that the company was started by an amazing human being called Yvon Chouinard, a French gentleman who was an enthusiast in outdoor mountain climbing, etc. And he started the company as a business that will contribute to sustainability from the word go. In other words, his basic principles, the principles I covered of a sustainable business, he basically set the business up to do that. And he founded Patagonia and began to sell reusable rock climbing equipment to fellow climbers. That was the beginning of Patagonia. He himself was an environmentalist and an outdoors person. And the company started from the word go, by investing 10% of its profits to environmental organizations and expanded this to 1% of all sales, called an earth tax. That was the very beginning of the company Patagonia. He had an interesting comment about the concept of investing in sustainability. He said, the capitalist ideal is you grow a company and focus on making it as a profitable company as possible. Then, when you cash out, you become a philanthropist. We believe a company has a responsibility to do that all along for the sake of its employees and for the sake of the planet. So, in other words, here's a company that was set up from the word go to contribute to sustainability and contribute to environmental sustainability from the very inception. So, if we look at Patagonia today, what are some of its amazing achievements in terms of sustainability? Number one, Patagonia is a B Corp certified company. In other words, the highest and the best certification a company can receive for its sustainability credentials is what is known as B Corp certified. And Patagonia is B Corp certified. Almost 87% of the fabrics they use are from recycled material. 100% of the cotton they use is virgin cotton, also certified with traceability in terms of their whole operation. In fact, by 2025, which is next year, they will be 100% carbon neutral across their entire supply chain. Just imagine a company being able to say it. And you're talking of a $1 billion company. By 2025, all apparel products will be made from 100% recycled, reclaimed, and renewable resources. And that is a claim that hardly anybody can make. By 2025, our packaging will be 100% reusable, home compostable, renewable, or easily recyclable. So first and foremost, here is a company that has got its product completely sustainable in every way, and that is the beginning of their story. The company lays a lot of emphasis on sustainable leadership, and all its hires have to meet these 5 or 6 criteria in terms of their attitudes. They must have a sustainable leadership attitude. They must be committed to sustainability monitoring and of their performance. They must be committed to reducing emissions. They must be committed to recycling. And they are clearly a company that is the cutting edge company in terms of recycling. Now, how do they do that? Well, what they do is they have, just in North America alone, 40,000 repair centers. And what is amazing is that these repair centers accept any product that has been bought by anybody from a Patagonia product, and they repair the product and give it back to the customer at a very minimal cost and repair is a radical act that the company's entire business model is based on. So here's something he says by keeping our clothing in use 9 additional months, we can reduce the related carbon waste and water footprint an estimated 30%. And what is amazing about this organization is Patagonia aims to make its clothing items last a lifetime through high quality and repairability. And they now collaborate with an organization called iFixit to publish over 40,000 free repair guides for Patagonia products. Just imagine a company in the 21st century making repair as a key part of its game plan and its strategy, which is a strategy that hardly any company in the world is committed to today. Because most companies that we work with today are looking at consumers buying their next model and buying their next product, and as a result contributing to massive waste. I mean, today in some of the, take a simple thing like your iPhone. How many iPhone models are available today which come into the market and basically asks you to upgrade your current iPhone to the latest version of the iPhone? Now, Patagonia's approach to business is exactly the opposite. Now, what about the materials Patagonia uses? Patagonia only uses organic certified cotton. Traceability is they are completely traceable to ensure no animal cruelty or environmental harm in the process. The wool they use, Patagonia has a strict set of environmental and animal welfare standards, and they reclaimed wool and cotton, Patagonia with different groups using technology to recycle this wool. Whenever they produce a new product, and they do so regularly, they basically ask a consumer to ideally return an old product they have, which they can refurbish. And only if this new product has benefits that the old product doesn't have post repair do they encourage the customer to buy it. In fact, believe it or not, in some of the Patagonia advertising, they say, don't buy this jacket. And that is in their ethos, right? And all the suppliers in the world, their performances are in a website titled Footprint Chronicles. All the factories that manufacture goods for Patagonia are listed there, and their environmental and social best practice are communicated. And any customer can make a complaint about any of the products that are manufactured by any of their factories. And they investigate this thoroughly. And the next thing they do is remove that producer or factory from their supply chain if the complaint is genuine. So every customer who is a Patagonia customer can influence who Patagonia makes goods with. All this is amazing, and as a company between 2017 and 2022, they have grown to be a $1 billion operation. And recently, Patagonia did something that is unheard of. In September 2022, Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard, announced all profits in perpetuity will go to our mission to save our home planet. All profits in perpetuity forever will go to our mission to save our home planet, proclaiming as of now, Earth is our only shareholder. Now, that is a decision that no other company on the planet has made. And what Yvon Chouinard has done is create what is known as an Earth Trust. and 97% of all its profits now are secured by the Earth Trust, and the family only retains 3% of their company's shares. And this is basically the final decision that Patagonia has taken that sets them completely apart. And how the reason I have taken Patagonia as an example is once again because of the fact that all the key criteria of a sustainable business is completely met by Patagonia. Their product range is completely sustainable in terms of sourcing, manufacturing, and repair is their key strategy to keep these products in the base. They are manufactured through using renewable energy, and all their plants, all the factories that they commission have to be committed to that. Today, not only that, they have now moved to the next step, which is they are now in the cutting edge company that is ensuring that their profits contribute to the sustainability of the planet by creating the Earth Trust. So that is quick overview of the whole Patagonia strategy, Dishana. And uh, that is just to give you an overview of the whole topic.
Thank you, Doctor. I love the circular economy. It's just not about how it really works, but amount of innovation comes through that process. Sustainability is not just making changes. It also has a new thinking aligned, and sustainability is not just topics that people talk in terms of reporting, but also it has a deep down understanding, change of mindset, beliefs, and also creativity.
Correct.
This is a good example. Patagonia has basically looked at things in a much more innovative, creative way. Simple things, which they have done it extremely well and taking momentum. The challenge is that it's only a handful of people and a smaller set of communities starts to thinking and believing that way. But I suppose subsequently these businesses will inspire governments and also businesses in similar existence and individuals to start following these steps and try to see a better economic value. I think you spoke about this in many in on the previous topics, that how this has a huge economic value, because sustainability is not just reporting or trying to do things in ABCD way. It's bringing new thinking. It's a new approach. It's a new world.
Absolutely.
And also j- j- quickly just to understand what are those responsibilities. This is the key, and also an accountability, because I also see a distinguish difference between responsibility and accountability. Responsibility is always someone will always pass that to someone else when they have been pointed out. But accountability, that you don't pass that to anyone, you take its own ownership. So, in that sense, Doctor, what are the accountabilities that governments, businesses, and individuals, in a nutshell, if you can just elaborate to us, it would be nice.
Great. The one other thing I need to just speak about is the UN Sustainable Development Goals, Dishana, because the United Nations in 2015 launched 17 goals that should also guide business in terms of being responsible business and responsible nations. Now, just one point about sustainable development goals. Out of these 17, it's not as if every company and every nation must focus on all 17. Each company should be ideally prioritizing 3 to 4 goals that they can mainstream in their businesses and drive them as the priority goals for that nation or their business. So I would say one of the key responsibilities of a government is to identify which of those 17 goals are relevant for that economy. And the responsibility of a business is also to identify which of those goals are crucial for the business. So let me give you one example. UN Sustainable Development Goal number 7 is about moving to renewable energy sources for the energy requirements of the country or the company. Now, that must be a priority goal area, because if we don't have a moving away from burning fossil fuels, which are heating up the planet and then causing extreme weather incidents, then we have a serious problem with the planet going belly up if we don't get that right. So, the key goal of moving to renewable energy sources has a target set by the United Nations when they launched this in Paris in 2015. They said all nations and all businesses should migrate to 80% of their energy requirement with renewable energy sources by 2030. So that is one goal that I believe should be the most prioritized, focused goal every nation and every business should be driving towards. And that is a key accountability and responsibility of every government to do that. Now, governments can also incentivize and reward businesses that focus and achieve that goal. And how can they incentivize that? They can incentivize it by reducing taxes and also basically incentivizing companies to move into renewable energy sources. And every time they do that, they can have a tax benefit so that they can actually accelerate the move into renewable sources. Now, because most countries don't produce their own solar panels or their own batteries for storage, these are imported. And one thing the governments can do is to basically slash the duties on importation of panels and batteries so that every company can do this at a very low cost. So, a leading incentivization of moving into renewable energy could be something the governments can do in every country on the planet, and businesses should also do so. Now, the real question is how far have businesses and countries gone in terms of achieving this goal? The the reality is that China and the European Union have accelerated this whole target. And China, in the last 5 to 10 years, has mobilized 1,458 gigawatts of renewable energy into their grid. And European Union is second at about 738 gigawatts. But the rest of the world's nations are lagging behind. And if you look at whole of Asia, it's about 330 gigawatts, and USA is about 368 gigawatts in terms of year-to-date renewable energy cohort. So there's a lot of work yet to be done for nations to be able to achieve the 80% target by 2030. So what should businesses do? In terms of what businesses should do, they should be building 21st century leaders in their organization who are committed to building sustainable business models for their companies. Their business models which deliver economic growth without harming the planet and contributing to social progress. They should also be measured in terms of their key performance indicators, basically on delivering those sustainability targets. So has the CEO in the company contributed and delivered the goal number 7 in terms of moving the company to a situation where they are nearly 80% renewable energy driven or not? If they haven't, then that company has a serious issue going forward, because that company then will not contribute to the sustainability of the planet, but be a problem in terms of going forward. And the same is true about countries. At the moment, we can say that the China and European Union are accelerating all the right indicators, and we can see that the rest of the world is yet lagging behind. So what does the family have to do? The family, in their own way, need to also embrace goal number 7 and start looking at moving towards 100% renewable energy driven homes, and their transportation can also be moving into electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, as opposed to being uh, persisting with polluting fossil fuel vehicles and polluting with using grids that are supplying them 100% of their energy from fossil fuels. So that is a quick overview of what companies should do, what countries should do, and what nations should do in terms of achieving the economic sustainable business models for their businesses.
Thank you, Doctor. It's good valuable advice that you just shared. If you take um, businesses, individuals, sustainability initiatives are um, have a very direct impact in your short-term economic value, and at the same time, that economic value gives you opportunity to reinvest that economic value into more and more sustainability initiations. That's the way I see the way I see that positivity. If you take for an example, um, if you're a business which is running your business through uh, energy which is being produced through other mediums. So what I mean by other mediums can be coal, it can be burning fossil fuel, versus that you replace them with solar or any other renewable energy methodologies, has a direct impact on your P&L. And because it reduces long-term, short-term, and mid-term cost of your energy, that 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 what you save, you can reinvest into your business expansion, perhaps upgrading your equipments in a better way. And so therefore you can increase efficiency. As an efficiency increase, your productivity goes up. As a result of productivity, you give a high quality product and a service to your customers. It gives a impact on the customer's experience. As a result, they will retain with you. As a result, they also will become raving fans of your business, and new customers will start attracting you.
Correct.
These are tangible and untangible economic values that you can. Even person is the same. What you save can be reinvested in other means as a family.
Yep.
So this is why I see sustainability is such a good innovation stream and a strategy for you to make more better outcomes. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time. It was quite enlightening in terms of your knowledge that you have been talking. And I'm looking forward to hear from you on our next episode, which we will speak a little bit more into new technology disruption. It's something which I'm pretty much keen, because something which I'm involved very, very deeply. How to use new technologies like AI, blockchain to create that economic value as a result, a better sustainable outcomes.
Okay.
Thank you very much once again, Doctor, and I'll speak to you soon.
Excellent.